morning, Team Alabama. We are ready for Don't You Dare Read This, Mrs. Dunfrey, and page 32. Page 32. Open that on your Chromebooks. You're reading along with me. And the date at the top of page 32, because this is her journal entry, is October the 21st. October the 21st. Do not read this, Mrs. Dunfrey. I can't believe I forgot to put "don't read this" label on my last entry. How dumb can I be? So now Mrs. Dunfrey knows that I'm having problems. Great. She kept looking at me funny all during class today, and I didn't know why until she handed the journals back and I saw what I'd done. Hey, Mrs. Dunfrey, everyone has problems, okay? Leave me alone. I'm so embarrassed that she made all those suggestions for where I could go to help. The counselors? Yeah, right. Mrs. Herzenberger has time for anyone? Last year, when I went in to show her what classes I wanted for this year, the whole conversation was, okay, fine. Can you send the next student in? Or wait, I'm supposed to go to the peer counselors? That's the biggest joke of all. Everybody knows the peer counselors are the worst gossips in the whole school. Just look at poor Rhonda Hartshorn. She talked to Heather Owens and Mitch Ramirez strictly confidentially. Confidentially might be a vocab word you want to add. And funny, next thing Rhonda knew, everybody in the school had heard that she was pregnant and thinking of having an abortion. Poor Rhonda, even Mr. Tremont tried to give her advice. So thanks, but no thanks, Mrs. Dunfrey. I can handle my problems all by myself. I may not do a great job, but they stay my problems. At least I don't say too much in that last entry. It's just about Grandma and the boogeyman and the smell of her perfume. I guess there are a lot more embarrassing entries that I could have let Mrs. Dunfrey read by mistake. Isn't it hilarious that she thinks that I should try out for the Lodestar? Like Megan Satterwhite with her $150 sweaters would let me within 100 feet of that thing? Like I'd want to hang out with those snobs? Like I even care about writing anything? October the 23rd. Don't read this, Mrs. Dunfrey. Can't you give it a rest? When you asked me to stay after class today, I was sure I was in trouble. But no, you just wanted to talk about the Lodestar again and how I should be on the honor roll, not barely passing, right? The funniest thing was when you asked if it helped to talk to my parents. How'd you put it? I know most teenagers are hesitant to acknowledge their parents, but sometimes parental involvement is necessary. Sometimes parents and teachers need to work as a team. Sometimes, Mrs. Dunfrey, you talk like a book. I can just see you and my mom getting together. It makes me crack up. Let's see. Here's Mrs. Dunfrey with her silky blouses and her classy skirts and her big words. And here's my mom in her ragged jeans and her ain'ts and she don'ts. And you'd say academic potential. And my mom's eyes would just go blank. And she'd say, huh? About 50 times. Or let's say that you got real ambitious and hunted down my dad. Supposing you found him. You'd be real impressed with his beer company cap and his old ripped flannel shirts and his long johns. That's about the fanciest clothes I ever remember seeing him wear. He'd say, Tish who? Come on, Mrs. Dunfrey, give up. Today's Matt's birthday. I picked him up after school, and then we took the bus to McDonald's. He likes that better than the Burger Boy, even though I can't get an employee discount at McDonald's. I guess Matt gets sick of the Burger Boy burgers because I bring them home all the time. I told him he could get whatever he wanted, so he ordered a Big Mac and large fries and a big strawberry milkshake. He didn't finish any of it, but hey, it's his birthday. I told him nothing mattered today. I wouldn't yell at him over anything. You don't yell at me, Tish, he said. Yes, I do, I said. You don't have to be nice. I know I yell at you a lot more than I should, but only because you want me to be good, he said. And he smiled in his way that he has, where he shows his side teeth. And he looked so little and cute and innocent. And I think he got that idea about being yelled at for his own good at school. Anyway, it made me feel like I'm not so bad to him after all. I couldn't get him the Nintendo because I couldn't save enough money in time. Maybe I would have been able if Mom would give Matt and me lunch money instead of me always paying for everything. Instead, I got him a baseball mitt. I thought it was kind of a stupid present. I just couldn't think of anything else, but Matt got all excited. Sorry, guys. He said all the other boys at school have mitts, but he didn't think that he'd ever get one. He fell asleep hugging it. Maybe I'll be able to afford a Nintendo for Matt for Christmas. Okay, let's go ahead and add some facts. Today is Matt's birthday, October the 23rd. Tish got Matt a baseball mitt. Okay, I want you to add a couple more facts that you heard from today's reading. Page 35, October the 24th. Don't you dare read this, Mrs. Dunfrey. Well, Mom's gone and done it. While I had Matt at McDonald's last night, she started driving around town looking for Dad. She found him down at the Alibi Inn on Seidel Street. It's a horrible bar, all smoky and gross. I'm sure you wouldn't know anything about it, Mrs. Dunfrey. I don't know what Mom told Dad. I don't want to know. But this morning when I got up and walked into the kitchen, he was sitting at the kitchen table eating eggs and toast. Sort of normal, like he'd never been away at all. I just stopped and stared at him. Is that how you greet your dad when you haven't seen him in 2 years? Dad asked, all sweet and nice. Hey, it's not my fault I hadn't seen him in 2 years. Hi, Dad, I said, cautious. I didn't know it, but Matt was right behind me, and as soon as I said that, Matt came out in front of me. Dad? Daddy? Then he ran over to Dad and he gave him one of those big hugs only a kid can give, totally trusting. Dad swung him up in his lap and said, now that's more like it. It's really you, Matt said, and Dad nodded and let Matt hug him again. I could have cried right then and there. The way that Matt was acting, he looked happier than I'd seen him in years. I guess I'd stopped noticing how sad his eyes looked all the time. Matt grinned and grinned and grinned, and I wanted to grab him and scream, no, don't, you can't trust him. Then Mom came in from taking the trash out, and she was grinning too, like a big fool. Am I the only one in the whole family who remembers anything? So, where have you been? I asked. It has been a while. I was waiting for him to yell at me for my smart mouth. The sarcasm was dripping, but Dad just shrugged. I got a job driving coast to coast, he said. Oranges from Florida, pork bellies from Chicago, you name it. And then he started telling us stories about his adventures, how he'd outsmarted a robber in Flagstaff, Arizona, and how he'd gotten trapped in a blizzard out in Burlington, Vermont. And it was like no one but me thought it was weird that he was back now and that he'd never even sent a postcard the whole time he was away. Matt kept beaming and holding on to Dad's leg, and Mom sat beside them, reaching out every now and then to touch Dad's hair, like she couldn't believe he was real. I stayed back by the door, and I think I was thinking that I could get away fast if I needed to, except I'd want to take Matt with me. Okay, let's add a few things. How does Tish act about Matt? What's one word you could say? And then put that as a sentence. Tish is blank of Matt. What's that word that you came up with? How does Tish treat Matt? Dad's back in town. Is Tish happy about Dad being back in town? Why did Dad come back to town? What did Mom have to promise Dad? Did she promise him anything? Will Dad stay around for a while? Those are all questions you can add in your question category. So let's add some facts now. And let's add some questions as well. And there were a few vocab words in there too. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.